My husband called my bluff. I threatened to leave him for another man, expecting him to beg me to stay, but instead, he handed me divorce papers and threw me out. Now, homeless and broke, I realize I was the fool all along. I got mad and threatened to leave him for another guy, but he actually agreed, and then divorced me. I thought I could threaten to leave my husband and make him beg me to stay, but instead, he divorced me without wasting time. My life is crumbling right now, and I am responsible for it. I have been weeping profusely these last few days. These past few weeks have been the most devastating time in my life. My husband and I got into a heated argument, and I threatened to leave him if he dared try anything funny. Guess what, guys? He didn't hesitate to serve me divorce papers. Hi Reddit, my name is Anastasia. I am a 32-year-old hotel manager. My husband's name is Jackson. He is a 33-year-old businessman. My husband and I have been married for 6 years now. Jackson and I first met way back in high school. He was one of the best students in school. I got close to him so he could tutor me in subjects I found difficult. It was from there that we became friends, and eventually started dating, and now we have been married for 6 years. Since the first day Jackson and I met, it has been nothing but love. He looks out for me in times of trouble, and has never stopped. But as it is right now, I have turned Jackson into a beast. Just a mere threat got into his head, and he wants to divorce me. He threw me out of the house in the middle of the night. It was late at night, and I didn't know where to go that day. All the neighbors were in their houses, and I wasn't close to anyone to seek help. Jackson made me spend the night outside in the cold weather. I was freezing and pleading for him to open the door, but he ignored me. Guys, the weather that day wasn't friendly. After punishing me to sleep in the cold, Jackson wants to divorce me after everything we have been through together. No, this can't be happening. I would try everything within my power to make sure he changed his mind. I can't let another woman take over my place in Jackson's life. My husband can't just throw away our 6 years of marriage just because of a mere threat. Yes, I know I cheated on him, and I won't deny that, but Jackson can't divorce me because I would literally go broke and empty. In all our lives as a married couple, we have been living on his own money, not mine. Imagine him taking away that privilege from me. But honestly guys, I'm speechless, and I don't even know how to fix this. I want you all to give me advice on what to do and how I can change his mind. Yes, I still love my husband, and I would like us to come back together. I really want to fix our marriage. I promise that I have turned a new leaf, and I'm ready to do anything just so Jackson can change his mind. But right now, I don't think he is even ready to listen to anything I have to say. I won't even lie guys, I lived comfortably with Jackson. He does provide everything I need. Despite my monthly income, he footed all the bills and never allowed me to spend a dime on the bills coming from the house. Yes guys, Jackson loved me that much. Sometimes I would always say to myself that I didn't deserve someone like him because of the way he treats me. But guys, despite all of these, my husband and I had just one issue, which is the idea of me being a hotel manager. My husband from day one never liked that, but I, on the other hand, loved it. I took the job of working in a hotel after being jobless for 2 years. I couldn't figure out anything meaningful to do. I submitted several emails to different companies, but I got no response. At some point, Jackson told me to stop, but I was bent on doing something. I hate being idle, doing nothing at all. I was just bored doing nothing at home. Jackson gave me a lot of money to go on vacation to any place I wanted with my friends, just so I could ease the boredom. Sometimes we went clubbing, had several dates, hung out with friends, and attended a lot of family events together, but then I wasn't happy. I wanted something to do. I didn't want to just be at home all day and would only go out at night to a club. I had always wanted to be a career woman, not just a housewife alone. So guys, after our marriage, I couldn't find a job. I stayed home for 2 years before I was able to get one through a friend of mine, Patricia. Trisha was my friend from college. We got connected 2 years after graduation. Apparently, we lost contact after graduation because she went to the States to further her education. When she came back to town, she reached out to me, and we hung out in a restaurant. We chatted about lots of things and recounted fun memories we had. It was there I told her about my inability to get a job. Patricia didn't believe me, because I was good-looking, and didn't see the need of stressing myself if my husband wasn't complaining. Everyone couldn't understand the fact that I needed a job, but then it was my choice, and I didn't relent. After much talk with Patricia, she agreed to come up with something for me since I was desperately looking for a job. So guys, I waited about a week before Patricia came up with a job vacancy advertisement for me. It was a newly launched hotel, and they needed staff. All other positions were taken except for the position of a receptionist. Of course, I was happy to give it a trial. Patricia was not in support, most especially my husband, but I was bent on getting it. I wrote a few emails, and I was able to get the job. I was so happy and felt a huge relief, but then I didn't know that the job would cost me a lot. Getting that job was the beginning of my infidelity. The job got into my head that I began seeing my husband less. The first 3 years into the job were quite challenging. I had to get used to waking up in the morning and going early to work, but I got used to it and worked really hard, and even became comfortable with the environment. On several occasions, my boss commended me because of my hard work. Along the way, Jackson had no choice but to accept my new job and gave me his full support. Jackson was a good man, and I let him slip off my hands. Like I said earlier, my infidelity was when I started working at the hotel. It started when my boss invited me over to a closed-door party at his house with his friends. He wanted to reward me for all my hard work. At that time, my boss was single and not in any relationship. Then I attended the party without Jackson knowing. I gave him the excuse of being on the night shift. The party was filled with a lot of men and a few ladies. The night got so heated that I had a lot to drink. I drank so much, but I was able to handle my liquor. Everything that happened that night, I remember them all. It was a bittersweet memory for me. The sweetest part of that night was the fun I had at the party, and even with my boss. The bitter part of it is what I'm going through now. It led to another, and I found myself making out with my boss after everyone had gone home. My boss and I were the only ones remaining at his house. He offered to drop me off, but I refused and insisted on staying longer. After a few minutes, I couldn't control myself anymore, and I went over to kiss him. It got heated, and we made out throughout the night. I'm not proud of what I did. I wish I could erase that memory. But that's not all, guys. The next morning, I woke up and didn't find my boss in the room. He'd left early and dropped some cash on the table with a note, telling me where to drop the keys when leaving. I felt so embarrassed, and I was regretting everything. I got angry and left the apartment. A few weeks later, my boss called me into his office and handed me a piece of paper. Guess what? It was a promotion letter. I got promoted to manager. Apparently, the former manager resigned, and the position was vacant, so he gave me the promotion, considering my rank at the time. I wasn't qualified for the manager position. In fact, I had other, more senior colleagues. The promotion was shocking to everyone, even my husband, Jackson. He suspected something was fishy, but I managed to talk him out of it. Of course, it was because my boss and I made out that he gave me that position. After the promotion, my affair with my boss became regular. We even went on several dates, picnics, and even to clubs. My husband, on the other hand, complained about my job being demanding. I was never around, and it caused a lot of issues between us, but I was still able to hide my infidelity. No one suspected my boss and me. One time, we went on vacation together somewhere far away from town. My husband had no clue. I gave him the excuse of going to visit a friend of mine who was ill. That was the only reasonable excuse I could come up with. So guys, after a few months, my boss went on a trip with his close friends. The trip was to last for 2 months. At that time, I was not happy about it because I had already gotten used to being around him. My boss assured me that he wouldn't stay away that long and told me to take care of everything while he was away. Of course I did. After all, I was the hotel manager. He left, and a few weeks into it, I was already missing him, but I managed. A month later, I was still waiting for my boss, but by then, I had met someone else. His name was Justin. Justin and I met at the hotel when he had issues with the receptionist at the counter. There was a mix-up, and my attention was drawn to it. I was able to sort it out, and we became friends. Apparently, Justin was a foreigner in town, on a business trip that was to last for a week. He booked the available hotel, which was the one I worked at. So guys, Justin and I became friends. We chatted more on the phone because I didn't want any of the staff to suspect anything. I couldn't concentrate because I was always on my phone chatting with Justin. At this point, my husband knew that something was very fishy. My late-night calls and chats became more frequent, and I was always with my phone, smiling and giggling. On several occasions, he asked me why I was always smiling at the screen, but I told him it was just a random joke on the internet. Jackson would ask me to share so he too could laugh, but I would always look for a way out. That always pissed him off. Justin and I started seeing each other outside the hotel. We booked another hotel where I was sure that I wouldn't bump into anyone I knew. The new hotel was our hangout spot. Justin was filling the space of my boss that my husband couldn't. I didn't know that much about Justin. All I wanted then was a companion to fill in the space of my boss until he returned. Justin's stay was to last for a week, but he kept postponing it because of me. He wanted to spend more time with me. Justin knew I was married, but didn't know anything about my relationship with my boss. We were seeing each other until my boss returned from his trip. At that time I was in a very tight spot. I was happy to see my boss back. After all, that was all I wanted. But then again, there's Justin. I was beginning to get used to Justin before my boss came back. I was so confused. I had to keep both men away from each other so I wouldn't complicate things. My boss and I went back to being as we used to be, but I limited the time I spent with him. I was just caught up in the middle of 3 men, my husband Jackson, and 2 affair partners. None of them knew each other. I played the game well, not until I was double playing. Yes guys, my relationship with Justin went to another level, and we planned on eloping to his country. Justin really took good care of me. It was like I was falling in love for the first time. I didn't know what he used on me, but one thing I'm sure of is that he was really good with words. He brought up the idea of going with him to his town, and promised to take care of me, but the only thing stopping us was money. I brought up a plan and started extorting money from my husband, and even resulted in taking some bundles without his consent. This went on for a few days, and my husband began complaining about the missing bundles. I denied knowing anything about it, and he didn't say anything. I thought I was smart, but didn't know that my husband had me watched by a private investigator. The private investigator followed me everywhere I went, and even took some pictures of me and Justin together, and even my boss. It was then my husband confirmed his suspicion about me cheating on him, but he kept quiet. The bundles I stole from him, I remitted to Justin, so he could save up for us to leave the country. After confirming that I was traveling out, I went to my boss's office and broke up with him. I lied to him that my husband was getting suspicious of me, and I wouldn't want to have him implicated. I also told him to stop seeing us and only concentrate on working. My boss wasn't happy with what I told him, but I stood my ground and made it clear to him. He wasn't buying it at that moment, and so I walked out of the office. I concentrated on my job and behaved normally. Justin checked out from the hotel I worked at and lodged somewhere far away from there. So guys, back at the house, I packed my bags a bit so my husband wouldn't suspect anything. Justin and I planned the date we were to go, and booked a ticket ahead of time. Everything was moving out fine, until one day, my boss asked to see me. My boss told me not to end our affair, but I refused. He even went as far as increasing my monthly income just so I could change my mind, but I didn't. At that time, I had made up my mind to be with Justin and no one else. A few weeks later, it was the period that Justin was to leave the country. That week, I had arranged everything and packed all that I needed. I was really in a happy mood, not until there was a day remaining for us to leave when my husband came to meet and asked me who the two men I was cheating on him with were. At first, I was shocked, but I composed myself and denied it. That night, it was past 11 p.m. He yelled out so loud and demanded to know, but I didn't say anything. From there, we got into a heated argument. To back his allegations up, he brought out a stack of pictures of me and my affair partners. Jackson told me that I was the one stealing money from him and told me to return every penny I stole, or else I won't find it funny. Immediately, I told him he couldn't do anything, and if he tried anything funny, I would leave him, and he would never see me again. My husband pulled me by my arms closer to him, and told me that he would make that easy for me, and there wasn't any need of threatening anybody, and he dragged me out of the house. Jackson slammed the door and locked me outside. I banged the door and asked him to open it, but he gave me a deaf ear. I was left in the cold. The weather wasn't pleasant. Both my hands and feet were freezing. I had to run to the garage to spend the night. The next morning, I woke up, and I could barely walk. I pleaded with Jackson to open the door, but he refused. He didn't open the door not until it was time for him to leave for work. He shut it immediately when he came out. I followed my husband, pleading with him to forgive me till when he entered his car. I even went as far as staying at the gate, trying to block him from driving out, but Jackson didn't mind running me over. I ran out of the way when I saw him coming out at speed. Immediately after my husband left, I thought of what to do. Luckily for me, my phone was with me. I tried calling Justin, but his line wasn't connecting. At that moment, I thought of going to the hotel to see him, and tell him about the new development. I was still in my 90s that morning, and didn't mind showing up at the hotel where he lodged. I went to the hotel and headed straight to the reception, and called the room number for them to inform Justin about my arrival. But guess what the receptionist told me, guys? The lady at the counter told me that Justin checked out early that morning around 4 a.m. I wasn't sure if she had heard the room number correctly, and I repeated it for her again. It was then she told me that the room was empty, and the person Justin had checked out. I was so mad at myself. I couldn't believe what I was hearing at that moment. I fell to my knees and screamed. The receptionist called security, and I was asked to leave the premises. I didn't know what to do. Justin ran away with the money I stole from my husband. He deceived me into eloping with him, while he was using me to steal money from my husband. Now I'm in a huge debt, and my husband told me I would pay everything down to the last penny. I can't even call the figures because it was a lot. I thought Justin wasn't a fraudster. I really don't even know what to do right now, because my husband is not being friendly with me. I have tried going over to the house to plead with him, but he's not giving me any listening ear. Patricia, hearing the news, was really disappointed. She didn't hesitate to tell me right in my face and refused to render any help to me. I pleaded with her to spend some few days with her before getting myself back, but she refused. She turned her back on me, and didn't care to look back. I never expected it from her. Patricia was the least person I thought could do that to me. Right now, as I write this, I'm in tears. The whole divorce stuff is having a toll on me. I really want to get back with my husband. I hope he changes his mind. Update. Hi guys, before anything, I want to start by thanking you all for your comments and patience. I really appreciate it and do not take any of them for granted. I also appreciate the nasty comments. Honestly, I take full responsibility for everything. Yes guys, I know I have kept you all waiting for too long without giving you guys an update about how everything went down. I'm sorry guys, I have really been down. I have been trying my best to put my life together. But I'm really finding it difficult to do that. Most especially when I have no money to answer the question if Jackson and I have gone our separate ways. Yes, we have the court case wasn't in my favor. I used my last penny to hire a lawyer for the court case, but it didn't go as planned. The divorce was finalized, and we went our separate ways. I tried involving a close friend of his if he can change his mind and forgive me. But he was bent on getting a divorce, and now I have nothing. I ran to my boss for help, but he chased me out of the office, and filed a restraining order for me, because of how frequent I was going to his office even after the divorce. I pleaded with him to give me any job, even if it's doing the dishes, but he refused and called the security to throw me out. I was humiliated. I have never been humiliated like that in my life. How could my boss turn his back at me after all we have shared together? Did those moments we spent together didn't mean anything to him? Without being told, I have come to the conclusion that he used me to have fun. I was so stupid to offer myself that cheap to him. I shouldn't have let my guard down. My affair partner Justin, on the other hand, scammed me with my money. And I haven't heard anything from him since the last time we planned on eloping to another place far away from here. The thought of that is driving me so crazy. I haven't had enough sleep because of that. I thought I could track him down, but I couldn't. He blocked me on all platforms and he left no traces. Justin really did me dirty. Justin deceived me and stole from my husband. I really regretted it. I was blinded by a shallow love. My ex-husband, on the other hand, wouldn't even want to see me. Jackson made sure to retrieve all the money I stole from him by selling all my expensive outfits, selling my car to top it up. He seized my credit card and swapped my life savings, guys. I couldn't cry enough right now. I am penniless, feeding from hand to mouth. I can't even get over my husband. I have been stalking him since our last divorce as I write this right now. Jackson's engagement is coming up in a few months. He has already moved on quickly, and I'm here looking so unkempt, not even presentable enough to date anybody. My life is a total mess right now. I feel so ashamed of myself.